This little bag was all that I brought on a backpacking trip to Europe. That's right. This 20-liter bag is what I used for 3 weeks across 7 countries in Europe. And I know when you envision backpacking across Europe, typically what comes to mind are huge backpacks, maybe even multiple, one on the front, one on the back. But I'm gonna show you this is really all you truly need to enjoy yourself. So if you're new here, my name is Angie. I love to travel small. And for this trip, I wanted to go even smaller. I typically bring a 32-liter bag that still fits under the seat, but oftentimes I get lots of comments about the size of my yellow bag and how it's not truly a personal item. And you all aren't wrong. For some airlines, it is a personal item. For other airlines, it's way too big. So this time I wanted to go with something a little bit smaller that would, granted, it doesn't count as a personal item for every single airline, but for some European airlines such as Ryanair, EasyJet, Norwegian Air, this definitely does count. And this time I actually paid attention to weight restrictions. So my bag, it's under 7 kilos or under 15 pounds. So hopefully that should appease some of you all naysayers that give me so much grief about the size of my bag and the weight of my bag. I've tried it out in various sizers when I was in Europe for Ryanair and for EasyJet, and it definitely fits. So I'm gonna show you all the things that I brought along with me, what I packed in the bag, things that I packed or wore on my person, and I'll give a review. I'll talk about the things that worked, the things that didn't, and things that I would do differently. All right, so now let's get into what I actually packed. Now this time I'm going to use a compression bag, and I never do, but because this backpack doesn't open like a suitcase, I felt like using a compression bag would help me to keep my things organized. So when I do have to go in and out of my bag, I'm not taking things out piece by piece, and I'm just able to use this as like a mini suitcase in and of itself. So when packing my compression cube or compression bag, I try to get my items as flat as possible. I try to minimize folds, and I try to get my items to the length or the width of the bag. And if that item doesn't fit perfectly, I try to fold another item to fill that void. So here my shorts are a little too big and I tuck them around the corners. It all buffs out at the end. Here are my compression shorts, which are actually pretty cool because they have some pockets, and those come into play later on in the trip and they save me. So here, just making sure everything is flat as can be. Again, the least amount of folds possible. And here, as you can see, I have my long sleeve shirt that doesn't take up the whole space, and then I fill in that space with my bathing suit. And lastly, I top things off with my bulkiest thing, which is my black dress. Now, closing this thing down, I'm not gonna lie, I put my knee on it. I try to compress as much as I can. I'm trying to get this bag as flat as possible. I don't know what other people do. Maybe they just zip it as is, but I try to apply as much pressure as possible. And I think my method works for the most part. So after this is packed, it's time to get all the rest of the other items into my backpack. You've seen everything that I packed, but you might notice that certain items are missing, and that's okay because I am carrying those items either on my person or I'm just wearing them instead. So as you can see, for the travel day outfit, I'm wearing a pullover sweatshirt, and this sweatshirt is clutch because it has a really big pocket at the front. And typically when you have a pullover hoodie or whatever, you have that, I call it a marsupial pouch at the front, but you can't really secure anything because it's open. But with this pullover, I can zip it, which came in clutch later on down the line. For your travel day outfit, it is beneficial to try to wear the things that are the bulkiest. For instance, I wore my waterproof shoes on the plane. I wear my trekking pants. Although not the bulkiest, they do have a lot of storage, and I have 5 pockets and 3 that zipper. So very crucial for me on my travel day because I essentially treat my pockets like a purse, and I'll show you all the things that go in them. I truly do love having zippered pockets because I never have to worry about my most important things falling out of place. Additionally, even my undergarments matter. I know you might be thinking, girl, that's TMI, but I wear a convertible bra that can be strapless, it can be backless, strapless, backless, and all the different ways you can wear a bra. And it's very important because I'm a large chested person and packing that in my bag would take up too much space. So I make sure that I wear it on the plane. All right, so let me talk about what went right. For the most part, I think I packed the right amount of clothes. At first it felt a little weird. I'm used to having much more, but 3 shirts plus a dress, pants, whatever. I was able to make the combinations work. So I think I did well there, and everything that I brought was juice. So I think that's a check plus. Now, what went wrong? A few things. So typically, I feel like I pack everything that I need. Actually, sometimes I overpack and I have things that I didn't use, but not this time. I actually missed out on a few things. So when I was in Scotland, it got ridiculously cold, so I had to buy a hat and some gloves. Not truly a big deal because I could just wear that on my person, but then something happened with my shoes. My shoes were getting on my nerves and weren't feeling comfortable, so I threw them away and bought another pair of shoes, which was great, but I had to break those shoes in. And when I was breaking those shoes in, it was a little painful, so I ended up buying another pair of socks. Hindsight, I probably could have just used the longer socks that I had, but at the time I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna buy new socks. And then I had another item that I acquired. I acquired a bath towel because I got big into cold plunges when I was over there, like sauna cold plunges. And one of the last places that I went to, you had to bring your own towel, and I didn't have one. They sold them, I bought it. And because of the cost of the towel, I'm like, I'm not leaving this towel behind. So I acquired a towel, hat, some gloves, 3 pairs of socks. I had quite a bit of new items that I had to accommodate, and that made me had to be really flexible with my travel day outfit. Usually I wear the same thing. I don't really deviate from that too much, but because I had to make room for the towel and all these other things, I switched out my travel day outfit. I put on a dress instead because it was my bulkiest, and I wore my compression shorts underneath so I could have some pockets. And I think I might use that as my travel day outfit if it suits the weather, right? I feel sometimes my travel day outfit, I know it's not about aesthetics, but sometimes I'll just look a hot mess. So with the dress, I feel like, I look a little feminine, and then I had the storage underneath with the pockets. It did make things a little bit easier for me. So I might try that in the future, but I'm not used to acquiring more things. So this trip was unique in that way that I had to make space for the new items. And typically I bring another day pack when I have my yellow backpack, but this time I didn't have that. So y'all, it was tough. I was making some trade-offs, and I was really putting my knee on my compression bag, trying to get things down so everything fit in my bag, but it all worked out. It all worked out at the end. So overall, y'all, I think I did all right with this pack job. I did need a few more items, and that's okay. I definitely needed the hat, definitely needed the gloves. The socks, not so much. And the towel, I don't know, that's a toss-up. But even with that, I really think that traveling small with this 20-liter bag was amazing. And it just goes to show that we don't always need all the things. We can, still have a good time with less. And even though I had to rewear outfits, even though I had to do some laundry, the freedom of movement that this bag gave me and just having everything I needed just on my back relatively light. I think it was a win. So hopefully you all have been maybe inspired to try to pack less and see that it can truly be done. So if you like this video, learned something, became inspired, go ahead, give it a thumbs up. And as always, I would love to have you here on a regular basis. I release videos regarding travel or packing typically on a weekly basis, and having you back would be awesome to me. So don't be afraid to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.